Welcome back. It is time for Set for Life with Nick Sapienza. So we've been kind of talking about finances over the past few weeks. We're talking about how we get there. I know we talked about like kind of the roadmap.
Yeah.
And now we're focusing on that GPS a little bit more today. So what tips can you offer our friends at home?
The GPS. We left off last time with this system. So we have our goal, we have our plan, and now we want our system in place. Our system is like our vehicle, right? It gets us from point A to point B. And that's really the most important thing. We tend to get caught up in the how, and the worst thing that you could probably do is Google how to invest or how to diversify my portfolio. There's a lot of good stuff, but there's an enormous amount of bad stuff and different opinions.
Yeah, and I feel like too, just going off of that, a lot of the things on TikTok, social media, you're kind of just like, well, okay, that seems doable, but then you get overwhelmed.
That's in a category of its own. Yeah, that's some special advice on TikTok especially. But there is some good stuff out there. I think for our case, in our example, Adele, she's just getting started. She's like, what do I do? Where do I go, right? In this case, we don't expect her to create her own portfolio, learn how to diversify, learn about asset allocation. She can simply go to Vanguard, she can go to Fidelity, she can use our services, which are Liftoff and Good Advice, and she can even be connected with a CFP like myself, a financial planner, that can offer some great advice along the way. But that can be figured out for her until she starts to maybe learn more about investing and build her chops and read a few of those books. But that's probably the easiest, best thing that she can do, especially in her case. I'm just getting started. How do I invest right away? She can open up her 401k and use a target date fund. It's a simple one-size-fits-all sort of solution. Maybe along the way she can get a little more into the weeds with that, but that's for some people that's all that they need ever. We just tend to make these things a little bit more complicated. I think the most important thing though is that simple beats complex, less is more. And I love this quote by Chris Voss that says, it'll never be exciting. It should be boring, right? So it'll never be exciting, but it will be astounding. So get this set up, know what you can control, don't worry about what you can't, let the market worry for you. And then when you look at it 10, 15, 20 years down the road, you'll be surprised.
Yeah, I kind of love that quote too. Going back to those different programs, how do you know to go with one that fits you? How do you kind of determine that on which direction to go?
I think you do it based off of what you would regret more. And we have there's this theory called loss aversion theory. So losses feel twice as bad as gains feel good. So if you go into a portfolio saying, what am I okay with? In a worst case scenario, and you look at the maximum, drawdown of a portfolio in 2008, let's say, that's a good way to assess what you're comfortable with and what you can actually stick with. And maybe you want to even hedge that a little bit further, right? And say, well, future me might be even less okay with that. But the target date fund, again, takes care of that because it does get a little safer over time the closer you get to your goal.
So at the end of the day, simple is best,
Simple is
essentially.
best, yes.
Make notes. Don't overcomplicate it. And
easier said than done.
I know, because it can be overwhelming when you start talking finances.
We feel like
and
we
money.
need to overcomplicate it. If it's not complex, if it's not, it doesn't sound really sophisticated, then it's just too simple. It's not good enough. That couldn't be further from the truth with investing. There's a lot of counterintuitive things about investing or ways that the market tries to, let's say, trick you. That's just one of them.
And Nick, if people at home have any questions, how can they reach you?
Best thing to do is Google us, right? Google my name, go to ritholtzwealth.com. You can remember how to spell it, RITHOLTZ wealth.com.
And we're going to post everything too on our website, KDM.com. Nick, as always, thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Taylor.
Of course. Adam, let's take a look outside. What are you tracking over there?